Hi, I'm Amanda.
Hi, I'm Brian.
And we're the WVGamers. And welcome to the island of Pacifica.
On this recently discovered island, explorers have found precious gems hidden under its surface. Things such as diamonds, rubies, and pearls are just waiting there for explorers to come along and mine. You, as the gem hunters, are going to come along and mine for those various resources because you've been sent here by wealthy merchants to collect the gems for their works of art. You'll be given quest cards throughout the course of the game that will tell you which gems you need to collect to complete those artifacts. So let's talk about the setup of the game.
To set up, you of course put out the board, and then you will be dealt out 3 passport cards. On these passport cards, they're going to have a little bit of information. They're going to have the name of the character, a description kind of what the character kind of symbolizes, as well as some paragraph information that gives different abilities that these characters have that you can utilize during the gameplay, as well as in the lower right hand corner the strength and skills stats for them. You'll pick one of these, one of the 3, and then put the other 2 at the bottom. Don't worry if you don't like any of those choices, because at some point in the game, there's going to be fake cards that come out that may end up having you swap out your character for another one in the deck. You'll also be given $2,000 of gem hunt money to start your expedition, as well as you will start the game with 2 quest cards. And on these quest cards, like Brian had said, it gives you the name of the jeweled item that you are trying to construct, as well as what you need to be able to make said item, as well as the value in the very, very bottom. That'll tell you how much that piece of jewelry is worth at the end of the game. You'll, of course, have your little character pieces. It does come with little standees for the different characters, but in this instance we're using little wooden pieces so then they can show up better on the map. There's also a 6-sided die as well as an 8-sided die, and Brian will explain that later on as well. You'll of course have the gem pieces that you will mine from the different locations, as well as cards that when you go to the jeweler, you can turn those rough gems into refined pieces. And depending on what you roll, you may end up getting 2 pieces out of one of those stones.
So once you've decided, once you've set up the board, the next thing you're going to decide, or maybe you decide this first, is how long you're going to play the game. There are 3 modes that you can play. You could choose to play until the first quest card is completed, and whoever completes that wins the game. You can play for a set period of time, 60 minutes or 120 minutes is recommended in the rules, and basically whoever at the end of that duration has the most value on their completed quest cards wins. Or you can simply play until someone reaches a certain threshold of money on their quest card, such as 125,000. So that's going to end up being anywhere from 2 to 5 cards, depending on the values of the quest cards that you've taken on. The quest cards will range from a lower price to a higher price based on their complexity and how much you're going to have to travel across the map. So now let's actually talk about how you're going to play the game. So everyone's going to start in Gemtown at the beginning of the game. In Gemtown, there are various locations that you can take advantage of. You can go to the diner and work a couple shifts to earn some money for your expedition. You could go to the pub and get into an arm wrestling match to earn money as well. You can go to the museum to find people interested in giving additional quest cards out, and so on and so on. The other locations will come up throughout the game based on things that you perform. Once you're ready to leave Gemtown, though, you'll use your move action to move out. So the different ways to get out of town is across a couple bridges and a ferry. Now, whenever you complete any of these little mini games, we'll call them, you'll be rolling a D8, and all of these mini games or challenges will be listed out on little player references that all the players will have access to. They are double-sided. We just have them laid out so it's easier for us to read for a 2-player game. Basically, you roll a d8, You'll see what the result is. Add any modifiers if it's one of those challenges that allow you to add modifiers based on fate cards or anything else. And basically look at the sum, look at the chart, and perform the action as described on the board. So in this case, we'll say that I've crossed and gone across the bridge. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the details talking about everything in the game. We have done a full playthrough that we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. But basically, once you cross into any of the non-named locations, you'll basically enter one of the hexes. That will result in a fate card being dealt. Tell us about fate cards.
Fate cards are cards that are drawn either in the desert area, the mountain region, jungle region, or the beaten path. The beaten path, because it's very well traveled, it can be good stuff more often than bad stuff. The desert, the mountains, and the jungle, however, can be some good stuff. It could be like equipment or cards that will give you an ability that you can use later on for one-time use, such as like if you're up in the mountains, you could get like a helicopter ride from the mountains down to Gemtown, and not have to move all those hexes back down. However, they could be bad stuff, like a flash flood could happen and wipes you back to Gemtown.
Too soon.
You could also get attacked by a band of gypsies that will take your jewels from you that you've just recently mined.
Also too soon.
But they are a lot of fun. There's 240 cards in the deck, and out of our games, I think at most we've gone through just 40 of them. And it's not like 40 from just the desert. It's 40 among the 4 different fate decks. But it's so much fun.
So that is basically your move action. So the other thing you'll be able to perform on your turn is your action. That's going to be taking in one of these little mini games or challenges. So the fate card, if you move into a space, that basically that drawing of a card is your action. But let's say you moved into like Oyster Cove or one of the mines. At that point, your action is being used by rolling the d8 and mining or digging up for those resources. So again, like we've mentioned, roll a d8, look at the chart.
That's a good one.
I got an 8, so I'd actually get double the stuff. But basically, you'll go through the same sort of mini challenge that we talked about in town for these locations around the map. And basically, you're going to want to bring those gems back because you only can carry so many, 5 per player, 5 per character, unless you have a fate card or a character that says otherwise. And you're going to come back, bring them back to the town, bring them to the jeweler, and have them refine them from those rough gems into these refined gems. Not only are they more valuable, but these are the gems that you need to be able to complete the quest cards. So the rough gems will not do you a lot of good for the quests. And so basically that in a nutshell is the game. You're going to be traveling across the different terrains, collecting various rough gems, bringing them back to turn them into refined gems, taking on various challenges on each of the different hexes across the board, flipping over the fates, see what's going to happen, whether it's going to be equipment, a companion, or some kind of threat. And depending on the way you set up the game, whoever completes the end-game condition wins the game. So, I believe we've talked about everything about how to play the game. As I said, we did do a video where we actually play through an entire game, so we'll provide information about that so you can go and watch that. So, what do we think of the game, Amanda? Do you like it?
I love this game. I really dig it. It reminds me of kind of like Splendorish, because I really like set collecting games where you are collecting the different gems to take them back to Gemtown, to the jeweler, to be able to refine them down to the refined gems that you need to complete your quests. I really enjoy that. I also enjoy kind of like the role play aspect of it. It kind of reminds me of going on like a little campaign in Dungeons and Dragons where you could be all good until you cross that bridge and land on that beaten path, and it could be something bad. Or like if you take the ferry and land in the desert and you're wiped back to Gemtown because of an earthquake even. I really like that it could be something good, it could be something bad. It leaves fate to to the fate cards.
Yeah, and I mean the gameplay is a lot of fun, but what I'm really impressed about. This is a prototype that was provided to us to do this review, and honestly, if it wasn't for a couple little minor things like the gloss on the box or whatever, because it's clearly a prototype, I would almost feel like this was the completed final game. The quality of the components are much higher than I would expect from traditional prototypes. I mean, even the card finish is very, very nice. You're not dealing with like little flimsy, cheap card stock. The cards are really good quality. Each of the characters having their passports. In addition to having the passports, you have the associated mini to go with it. The gems. There's a lot of gems in this game. Show the whole bag. That's a lot of the little gem bits. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have Quartz, another game that uses those same bits, and they don't. I don't even think it comes with that many. So there's a lot packed into this game. So really, it's a lot of fun. We've really enjoyed it. And all the even little tokens are good quality. So, like I said, for a prototype even, this is really impressive. The only thing that, the only hesitation we had about anything was just the money. And it's just more of your standard paper money. It is perfectly suitable for the game. The only thing we are slightly concerned about is just long term. This is a game that you're going to be hopefully playing a whole lot. And just, this type of money does crinkle up and stuff. I mean, a lot of people have old Monopoly games and that uses that same style paper. But, I mean, other than that, it's one component of many components in the game. And it's really, like I said, really good quality. There are things we didn't talk about, things like transportation, like across the corners of the map. They've considered basically like a fast travel, because if you look at the map, there's a lot of hexes, and so you would think that maybe rolling a little d6 and seeing how many spaces you're going to move, it may take a long time to get around, but they've kind of put in little fast travel points across the map to make the game a little more bearable in those longer campaigns. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we've really enjoyed playing the game the times that we have, and we will certainly be playing this more, especially when we can start having more people over. Anything else before we...
No, I don't think so.
So, like I said, we do have a full playthrough. We'll provide information for that in our written article. That'll be on WVGamers.org. So definitely go there and check out the written review. It'll have a lot of the stuff we've talked about. We'll go into more depth about some of the things. But also, be sure to check them out. Their Kickstarter page goes live on Tuesday, August 18th. I'm not going to go into pricing or anything like that, but check that out. See if it's something you're interested in. Check out what the stretch goals are going to be, and show them some support. Even just check out their Facebook page and tell them, hey, we saw your game, and here's what we think about it. So, provide them some feedback. Anything is good. So I believe that's it.
Well, I'm Amanda.
And I've been Brian.
And we're the WV Gamers.